Hello and welcome to day 9 of DEPHEMEREMBER, your daily inspiration for making ephemera in December. So this is today's paper bag. This was one of, I think, 2 that do not have a focal point. I can always add one whenever I decide to use this paper bag. I don't know yet what I'm going to be doing with these paper bags, but I think they need to be used in some way. So our animal for today is a partridge. And our snack for today is Kegi Fred. It's a Swiss one. I am very familiar with these. I buy these occasionally. It's one of my favorites. They are fine wafers dipped in delicious Swiss chocolate. So in case you don't know, Switzerland is famous for their chocolate. And I can tell you they know what they're doing. So this is what they look like. These make me happy. The only negative thing I have to say about this is that they are produced using palm oil, which is why I've kind of stopped buying these, but I made an exception for you today. So shall we check out today's prompts and see what we can do with that? So prompt number 9 reads, collage, fodder, and junk mail. So maybe we should look at what actually is collage fodder. So collage fodder is actually anything that can be used to create a collage. It's not only papers like these, like papers you would have on your desk as background papers for when you're creating something. That is probably the most common kind of collage fodder that I see. I myself forget sometimes that collage fodder is of course also things like book pages or tickets or anything else you could put into a collage. And before I start with this prompt, I just wanted to show you, I changed something here on the dangle that we made together yesterday. So as you can see here, I changed the position of the DEPHEMEREMBER. You might remember if you've seen yesterday's video that the DEPHEMEREMBER was attached here on the bottom of the butterfly and then hanging all the way to the bottom here. But I decided it would be better when it's hung on the top. So now it's not as long and I think this works much better. So let's go into the journal. Because I already picked out a page. Louise already added 2 pages where she added junk mail envelopes. So here's one. And here's the other one. And I love how she's attached it. Maybe this is an idea for you as well. So what Louise did is she folded the envelope in half and then she sewed it onto the page, just like that. She added stamping here as well. Here she added this cute fabric tab with a staple and a bulb pin. And I thought rather than creating a new junk mail envelope, because I think this journal is going to get super bulky, it's better to use something that's already in here. So I gather that you all have envelopes that you get in the mail that you would usually throw away. For any of those who are not familiar with junk mail envelopes, they're just regular envelopes that are reused. This one has obviously also been coffee dyed and of course distressed along with, you know, the book pages. I think it's a super fun element to add to any journal. And I love this flower. So what I want to do is make a collage that I can then stick into this pocket. And I've already chosen my substrate. This is a craft cardstock. I don't know how thick it is. It feels like 220 GSM. I already cut it down to fit in this pocket. Like that. And today I will be using the image as it is. So I'm going to start off by fussy cutting this beautiful partridge. And while I'm fussy cutting this partridge, I just remembered I forgot to rate my snack. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. The only reason why it's not getting 10 out of 10 is because of the palm oil. Otherwise, this would pretty much be my perfect snack. I want to keep the placement of this partridge in mind because I want him peeking out of this window. So if I put my card here, he should be at the very bottom. His feet won't be visible, but that's okay. I think his head should be visible. So that means I need to make a collage where he can be down here. So I'll just mark that to keep that placement in mind. I have put together some collage fodder that I might use. Most of these are papers I had next to me while I was spraying through stencils. These here are from Jelly Plate Prints. I did add a book page. I think that will make a beautiful accent, and some more stencil spraying. So I'm going to keep this placement in mind, and I want to think about how to design my collage before I start just slapping things down. Since we have our focal point down here, this here is going to obviously be where my eye is drawn to most. But then I want to lead the eye towards the top here and also a little bit here. So I want to keep this shape here in mind, because that's where I want to add interest. So I want to start off with some pieces that are, let's say, a little bit more of a background, because they are not so flashy with the colors. Maybe something from here. And I'm going to adhere them using my Liquitex matte gel. You can also just use glue stick. But I want to cover this whole surface with the matte gel. I am assuming that I'm going to be adding some color later. So I want a surface, if I decide to add color, I really haven't decided that yet, that it's going to spread nicely. And by adding a coat of this or clear gesso or something like that, that will ensure that the color can do that. Okay, then we can add this on top. If you're going to add something like matte gel or clear gesso or something like that on top, always keep in mind what your collage fodder is made of, because if you use a lot of ink and oxide sprays, they might smear when you add matte gel on top. These are made with sprays, and that seems to be fine. I wasn't sure, to be honest. Maybe some of this. Always keeping in mind that my focal point will be down here. Why don't I add some of Louise's paper here with the gold on it? Then I definitely want to add some of this because it has more than one color and it has these beautiful splatters. Then how about a thin strip of this? This is now obviously darker, so we will see this a lot more, which is why I want to use a smaller piece of it. So I'm slowly building up a few layers and building up the shape that I want. Always checking with my focal point. How about some of this here? So basically I wanted to have collage fodder underneath all of the partridge. Should we add one of these? Maybe just a small strip. And I definitely want to add some of this book page. I really like the font of this one. It's from a German book. I decided I do want to add a little bit more color. I don't want to go too dark because I will add some stamping as well. So I want to try this bright yellow. It's called Primary Yellow. It's an acrylic ink by Amsterdam. It has this glass pipette, which is super handy. If you don't have something like this, obviously just use watercolor or thinned down acrylic paint or inks. Many ways you could do something like this. I'm going to drip it here and hopefully that will just run down. Maybe add a little more. Help it along a little bit. Maybe spray it down here a little so that it runs a little more. After drying it with my heat gun, this is what it looks like now. So obviously it has spread a little bit more, which is fine and gives even more interest. And I want to add even more bold colors, mostly because I think putting him on the colorful background will make him stand out more. This time I will start here in this area and I'm going to use my Reflex Orange, again, one of the Amsterdam inks. Let's spray some water. Okay, I'll dry that as well. So after drying, we have this now, very colorful. And I want to add even more color. So I'm going to use my Reflex Rose, which is this amazing neon pink. And I think this time I might just add a few accents, maybe by just adding some dots. Nah, changed my mind. Not loving that. Oh, but we can just kind of make lines with this. Oh, that looks cool. And once that's dry, I'm going to add some sky blue light acrylic ink. And I'll spray it a little bit here. Okay, I think that was a bit much, so I'll soak some of this up again. But what a color combination, I actually love it. Okay, I'll dry that. So this is what we have. I think it looks great. I love what happened here with the blue. It's so different working with these to working with, for example, the oxide sprays, because obviously the oxide sprays are water soluble and they will always mix. But here, because it's acrylic and we're drying it in between the layers, I'm just putting one color on top of the other. So that's a completely different effect. So now if we put our partridge here, we see that he stands out a lot better than before. But we want to add more interest, so I'm going to add some stamping. I'm going to start off with these stamps here. These two were from the Your Creative Studio boxes, which are monthly subscription boxes. And this one I bought online, but I can't link it, unfortunately. I'm going to use permanent black ink for this. And again, I'm going to keep in mind that I want to stay with this dynamic here, but I do want to spread out a little bit into the page with my stamping. So this round one, I want to put where his head is, kind of like here. Yeah, that's perfect. Then let's try the ticket one. So far we have this, but I want to add some more stamps overlapping. I'll go through my clear stamps. So again, I have a video on this storage system and I also have a video on decorating the cover of this binder. These stars I think would be good. They are from the Tim Holtz special delivery set. And while I have the stamp out, I'm also going to go ahead and stamp some of my collage fodder, which will just give it more interest for future collages. I think these birds would look good. These are again from a Tim Holtz set. I don't think I have the name of this one. I was gifted this, so it's these birds. And they came with these other stamps that you see here. So if you know the name of this set or even have a link for it, that would be amazing if you could add that to the comments so that other viewers will know where to find this. So let's see what the best placement for those birds is. How about right there? And I'm very happy they didn't stamp so dark because I want all the attention going to the partridge. Then I'll take some more like scripty stamps. These, unfortunately, again, I'm not able to link for you. So with this one, I want to go a little bit outside of where we are at the moment. Then I'll add another one, I think down here. Then I just decided I'm going to use this piece that I just stamped on because I think this would make a good ground for him to stand on. So I'm just going to glue that on with regular glue. Then I'll also add some of my crackling stamp from Crafty Individuals. This one I can link for you. So this is what it looks like. I'm just going to do this very lightly. Okay, maybe a little more. We should be able to see it at least a little bit. Okay, I think we need more than that. Let's try that again. I'm realizing now that I put him too far up because I planned on putting him like this, but that means that his head is not in the window anymore. So if I put him farther down, that would work. Okay, so he's not standing on those stars. That's okay. We still see one peeking out there. It wasn't completely useless. Yeah, always important to keep that in mind. Okay, I think I'm going to glue him down. I want some more contrast and I also want some more interest up here. So I'm going to try to achieve that with some white splatters with thinned down gesso. White acrylic paint would also work, of course. I'm covering his eye. Don't want any splatters landing right on his eye. I'm going to start drying this with my heat gun, but I don't want these big splatters to dry all the way. I just want them to get like a skin on top, and then I'll dab it with my paper towel so that I get more of a crater look than a big blob. Okay, so they have dried partially. So now I'll take my paper towel and press on it really hard. So only the gesso stays, that has really hardened in the meantime. So then you get some cool craters like that. You really have to press down firmly. See that? Could be snow. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't add some gold. Rather than adding gold splatters, although they would be fabulous here, I want to paint his feathers here, which kind of look like a crown, in gold. So I'm going to take a fine brush and use my Van Gogh watercolor. You didn't think I would stop there, did you? So I'm going to add a few more gold accents. I also, again, want to add something for him to stand on so that he's not floating so much. I have this here, which I think was the Uncharted Mariner Distress Oxide. Let's see what it would look like inside of our junk mail envelope. So we can see our partridge. That's cool. How about we add a sentiment up here? I'll keep it next to the pocket so that I know how far down I can go with the sentiment if I want the complete sentiment to peek out. And instead of using a printed sentiment or a sticker or something, I always think it's fun to use parts of text from books. So I have this little postage stamp album that I got at my flea market. It was in perfect condition. The cover was horrible, so I just covered it myself. Added this notes label and also covered the inside and added an acetate pocket, front and back. And in here I collect all kinds of text bits that I cut out that I hope to one day use in collages. So which one might work for us here? Oh, how about this? I want to dance and sing this afternoon. That sounds like fun. And since this is kind of a fun card because of all the colors, I think this would work. So how do we divide this so that it works? Let's cut it up. I want to, can be this first line. And it comes out really well on this darker background. Dance and sing this afternoon. I do. It's so dreary and cloudy outside. Singing and dancing, I think, would be great. That's boring. How else can we place this? That's too far up. Yep, I think that's the way to go. I will ink them up with walnut stain and glue them down. I think it's much more interesting to add a sentiment like this than to just have it like centered or straight under each other. And now I think this composition is pretty balanced because of this sentiment that really stands out. So we have our eyes, I think, first going to the sentiment and then down here. And this partridge really looks like he needs to go out and dance, right? Obviously, I have messed up the back, as we do. So I want to cover that. And I'm again going to use some collage fodder to do that. Which side do I want? I think I'll use this side. So I will glue that on top of that. And I'm just using a regular glue stick for this. You could, of course, use matte medium. It is a bit more tricky to get all of your surface covered with glue stick, I think, than if you use something like a matte medium, where you can use a brush. And then I'll just cut around that. So that's my back side. And now I decided I want to have this in the shape of a tag. So I will cut the corners. Then I'll ink it up with walnut stain. So this is the back now, also inked up. It's light enough to still journal on. And on the front, I do want to add some more blue splatters. Again, using my Sky Blue Light acrylic ink. I am going to cover the sentiment up because I still want to be able to read that. Yep, I think that's enough. I am super happy with that addition. I think it really needed that. And maybe we should add some of those blue splatters to the junk mail envelope as well. And I almost ruined Louise's envelope here because I never think about not using a heat gun on envelopes with plastic. So what would I have done if I would have melted this window? One option is to run away and cry. That's not going to solve the problem. I would have just taken scissors and cut it out. Anything covering the window, if I really wanted the cover, obviously I could add some acetate back in from the inside. But thankfully, I don't need to do either of that. Let's put in our tag. I love how colorful this is. So our pheasant is peeking through the window. We have our sentiment on top. I think it's a cute page. I was thinking of adding some more collage fodder on the envelope, but I actually love that it's rather plain because that puts more attention to the colors on the tag. Also, I'm choosing not to put a tag topper on here for the reason that I want all the attention to go on the bottom part of the tag and for your eyes not to wander up here. So, number 9, collage fodder and junk mail. I guess you could say this was a joint project between Louisa and me because Louisa added the junk mail envelope. So thank you so much, Louisa, for doing that part of the prompt. And I added the collage fodder. Good teamwork as always. Hope to see you back here tomorrow. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.